Oh my God, Facebook. Okay. Live on Facebook. Okay. This happens all the time. I can't see if we're live. I hope we're live. It says that we're live. But happy Friday, everyone. Oh, let's do gallery view. Why don't we do that? Happy Friday, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us on Facebook. I'm really hoping that we are broadcasting. I will check it. Zoom says that we are. And just a really quick thank you to everyone that is on my email list, to everyone that subscribes to my page. Really happy to have you here. I know that your time and attention it's your only, like I always say, your most precious non-renewable resource. So really happy. I can see some people are jumping on. So why don't you let us know, everybody, while we kind of get started, where you're from, where you're watching from, maybe where where you reside. I'm not sure, where your organization, and what you're doing this weekend, or you could be doing nothing like we are. I don't know what's going on. I always ask people that. And then I just get an answer that is like, are people doing things? I don't know. So, well, two things really quickly. First of all, before I introduce our fantastic guest, and you're really in for a treat today, so make sure you stay on, share it, comment, like it. The more interaction and engagement we get, the more people and the more nonprofits we can actually reach. So make sure you're writing in your comments and your questions and sharing it with your networks. But I do want to let you know that social media for Social Good Academy is open for enrollment, and it's only open next week. So it's open today through next week, first class, February 1st. All the details are at socialgoodacademy.com. If you're on my email list, you're going to get a lot of emails. Don't worry about it. A lot of reminders. And if you're not on my email list, let me know and be happy to put you on there. So let's see. Oh, I see Sherilyn, Chicago, doing nothing. North Carolina. Sarah Robinson says, I love that painting behind you, Christal. That is very cool. That is a very cool painting. So maybe we'll get the story of that.
That's my girl, Naja Simone.
Oh, nice. Is that the artist?
No, that's my name I've given her, my alter ego. Isn't she beautiful?
That's amazing. Okay. That's really cool. Oh, I love that. So like Sasha Fierce. I can't steal that name. Well, without further ado, I'm really excited to have Christal Cherry here with us today. She is a nationally recognized fundraiser and board trainer who spent nearly 20 years, working with nonprofits and higher education institutions. She's a nationally recognized executive and professionally trained fundraiser. And she is the CEO of the Board Pro, a consulting firm designed to transform leaders through board service. And she customizes training and support for the unique needs of each client, which is really cool. So happy to have you here, Christal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I thought I just turned my phone off.
Oh, that's okay. I do that all the time. Or like a child will come barreling
How
through.
How are you today?
I'm really great. I'm doing great. Oh, the last time I was on a Facebook Live, my son got off the bus. And I think people, if they were watching it last time, so we'll see if this happens today, because the bus fortunately lets off right in front of my house, but someone has to be out there to get him off the bus because he's 6. So my husband forgot, my daughter was, I don't know what, doing something. The bus was honking and I'm looking at the bus from my window, and I had to actually go downstairs and get my son off the bus. Let's really cross our fingers and hope that that doesn't happen today. You just never, ever know. But today, I mean, I was so excited to get acquainted with Christal and her work, because boards are a huge piece, I think, of the nonprofit success puzzle. Mm-hmm. And the only real way to make them sustainable is to have not even necessarily a working board, but to have a board that's very committed and very motivated and driven and dedicated. But I think that this is something that all organizations of all levels, of all sizes, really struggle with. oftentimes when I'm called in to do a, social media campaign or a digital fundraising campaign, this is the number one sticking point. It's like,
Yes.
Julia, we would love to hire you. We would love to do all this awesome stuff that you've told us. We'd love to work on this campaign, but the board says, well, we're not on Facebook, so we're not
Right.
going to do it. So my
Yes.
question for you, I'm really hoping, let's kind of dive in. And the first thing that I want to talk about, first of all, is like, how do you work with your clients and your boards? And then the second piece is, why is digital fundraising so important? Because my audience has heard me talk about it 1,000 times. So it'd be very nice to get another perspective chiming in on this.
Sure. So thank you again for having me, Julia. I'm excited to be here. So
Yay.
I work with mid to small size nonprofits, and their boards are clueless. And that's basically, it's just basically the truth. I can't hide it. I can't.
They're very
sugarcoat it.
loving, but yeah.
And so I meet them where they are, so I normally will go in and talk to the board chair and the CEO or the executive director about, their board and what they need. And I learned that a lot of board members, they just don't know. They've not been trained or well oriented, so they're not equipped. And so we start off with some just basic governance, a refresher in governance. We talk about fundraising. I mean, Lord knows, just getting them to do the traditional fundraising is a challenge. And so now we're asking them to go digital, but they don't really have a choice anymore. I mean, just think about where we are right now in the middle of this pandemic. This is how we're communicating with one another. We're no longer writing notes. We can't have in-person events, right? And so everything we're doing right now in the way that we're communicating with people is online and virtually and electronically. And so if they don't get on board, they're going to be in a heap of trouble. And so it's kind of like, you don't really have a choice anymore. We have to go in this direction. This is where your donors are. This is where your supporters are. And we have to meet them where they are. So yeah, that's just kind of how it is. But no, I love working with boards. I love hearing what their issues are. I love offering solutions that I think will help them and being gentle with them. I realize that, they're just people. Like, they're not trained fundraisers. They didn't come in with a degree in, board service. So they don't know. And so my job is to train them and to be gentle and understand where they are. So that's kind of how I approach it. And it's going well. I love it.
What are some of the biggest, I would say, excuses, challenges, roadblocks, all of the above that you've seen in your work in terms of boards embracing digital?
Well, first of all, some members don't think it's their job to fundraise. If you have a director of development or a chief development officer, they think it's their responsibility. And so they don't realize that part of their responsibility as a board member is to advocate for, connect to, and fundraise for their nonprofit. And so when I tell them that that's part of their responsibility, a lot of time the light comes on like, what, me? And I'm like, absolutely. So the first thing I do is just try to calm their fears and disarm them about what fundraising really is, and assure them that they're fundraising in their lives every day when they ask for what they want. We talk about this all the time and how you have to advocate for yourself in your life every single day, whether you're advocating for your kids. If your child is having a problem in school and you feel like your teacher is not doing the right thing, do you not call the principal and find out what's going on and ask for what you need for your child, right? And I always use, this is my grand example, whenever I'm in the grocery store and the lines are long and there are not enough cashiers, do I not go get the manager and say, we need to open up another line here because I'm in here every single day and I should have stock in Publix by now, and I demand another. So I'm asking for what I want. I'm getting my needs met. And so every day in our lives, we're asking for what we want. And when we're passionate about it, we don't need a script. We don't need someone to tell us how to do it. If we're passionate about it, we're going to go for it. And so in our everyday lives, we're asking for things we want and need, and we're advocating for our own needs. And so if you think about it that way, if you feel passionately about your organization's mission, if you feel good about the work that's being done, you're on this board, so you must agree that it's good stuff.
Yep.
And stand boldly in that truth and tell the world about it.
I love that. Stand boldly in that truth and tell the world about it.
I just made that
I want
up.
to repeat that. No, that needs to be on a shirt. That needs to be a mantra. I love that because it goes back to not even necessarily, I think, a fear of the tools, but maybe kind of a fear of the tools, but a true fear of, what I heard today. I just was on a client call. They said, well, we're the best known secret. Oh, there's the bus. We'll see. We shall. I don't see anybody outside. Oh God. Well, anyway, we'll see.
I'll hold the show
thoughts
down
and prayers
if
of
you
the
go
bus.
out.
But I think that what happens is that nonprofits are so afraid of patting themselves on the back and shouting from the rooftops and actually telling people what they do. And they just look at marketing as this sort of dirty, spammy thing. They can't do digital, they can't do fundraising, they can't really ask. I don't know. We all have these money mindset blocks. And I've been reading a lot about money mindset blocks just as an entrepreneur. But in a nonprofit, we all have these money mindset blocks. And I think that we're doing our nonprofit a disservice, if we cannot kind of overcome these blocks. So how do you help your clients overcome them?
So what I do is we have to excite our board members. We have lots of good stories to tell. And if we're not sharing those stories with our board members to get them excited and hyped up about retelling those stories, then we're not doing our due diligence either. I mean, we can't be mad at board members if they're not equipped and trained to do what we want them to do. And so, it's incumbent on us to make sure that the programs teams are sharing their wins and their testimonies and their stories of when a client, does something extremely well, or when your homeless client is now, in a house, or you've filled a hunger gap, or whatever your mission is. You make sure you share those stories with your board member so that he or she can retell the story. Give them the videos, share the videos so that they can post on Facebook. Have them be able to tell the stories, have them meet with the clients when we can get back in person again, and hear their stories firsthand so that they can go out and advocate for your organization and give them what they need. So, there are lots of ways. And these days on, social media, we can use social media for so much good. We can make personal videos. You can pick up your phone and make a 3-minute video and say, hi, I'm Christal. I'm on the board of ABC organization. Let me tell you what wonderful things we're doing this week. I am so pumped and excited to be on this board. And I want to share with you the great stories that are going on behind the scenes. And I want to tell you why I think you should support our mission. Please make a donation at www. And join me in helping to, resolve homelessness or whatever it is. But if that took no time to do, you can do that in 2 or 3 minutes. I can take that and post it on Facebook and have 85 friends like it in top 10 minutes and have donations coming in before the end of the day. So but you have to get me excited, right? And motivated to do that. And I think so it's incumbent on us as the CEO, as the executive director, as the executive team to equip our board members with what they need so that they can go out and actually tell the story. And digital allows us to do that. And so that is why I think also digital is fast, is efficient, is time saving. And so, if you don't have a lot of time, like I said, post a two-minute video up on Facebook and keep it moving, go grocery shopping. You know what I mean? You can write a sign, you can just put up a sign that says, I love this organization, please support it. Snap a photo and put it on Facebook. It doesn't have to be anything sophisticated or fancy. People right now are looking for connection. We're all home sitting in front of these darn computers, right? Looking for some kind of human connection with people, somebody who relates to what I'm doing or can understand where I am. And so you have our attention now. This is the time to post a video. This is the time to post a story or to write a note or whatever. But this is the time to do it. And you need to get us now while you have our audience. You have our attention, rather.
So what do you say? I'm going to be a board member.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a skeptical board member right now.
Okay.
Well, our donors aren't online.
I
always say, really? Don't you have a smartphone right next to you right now?
I mean, you'd be surprised how many donors are online, young and old. I mean, there was a time where I would have thought my mom would have never got on Zoom, right? But just getting her to get on Zoom, and where is the video button? I can't find. You'd be surprised how many older folks have had to, in order to stay in touch with their family members. They've had to step into technology. They've not had a choice. And so these days, for you to say your donors are not online, I don't know what donors you're talking about.
Exactly.
But in 2021, all your donors are online. We're all online with our kids in school, which we're having Zoom family calls.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing our bills online because we don't want to go to the post office anymore. We're online. So for you to say that is just not true. We're there.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think that, and also actually flipping the coin on the other end, so that we've got the board members that are skeptical, but then what about the board members that are very gung-ho and they say, oh, Charity Water raised $50 million from a GoFundMe. I'm just completely making that up. Or the local organization down the street raised this much money, so we should just turn it on and it should just be like a money spigot. And
yeah,
what do
Charity
you say
Water
to them?
has a lot of resources.
Yeah.
They got a lot of we got to get to where Charity Water is so that we can get there. Right now, we're not there. So we're going to be realistic and look at where we are and do the best we can with the budget that we have and the resources that we have. So yes, that's something to aspire to. But right now, with our current board and our current staff and our current budget, this is what we can do. And that's the one thing about digital, that you don't have to try to embrace it all. Take one channel that you feel good about, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, or whether it's video messaging or whatever it is that you're going to embrace. Take that one channel and go with that this year. And you don't have to try to do it all. You don't have to do text to give, video messaging, Facebook, Instagram. Do the one thing that's working for your organization and go with that, And it takes getting to know. One of the things we're going to talk about in our presentation, Taylor Shanklin and I are doing an actual presentation on this next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. I'm going to put the link. Let me put the link in the
Tuesday,
comments.
January 26th at 2 p.m. We're going to do a talk on this. We actually have a master class that we've created on how to get your board to embrace digital fundraising. And we're going to talk about segmentation. This is the time where you get to know who your donors are, right? So we're going to talk about, multi-channel marketing as opposed to omni-channel marketing and what that means, and creating a donor experience that's tailored for that donor. And the only way that you can do that is if you know who your donors are.
Yeah.
And so you have to know how many of your donors are, are baby boomers. Where are your millennials? How about your Gen Zs? How many of your donors are women? You need to know those things so that you can tailor your messaging so that it's appropriate for each audience. Because I want to be engaged. You want to make this as personal of experience. It's like you're only talking to me. Right. So I want to feel like this is, we talk about being donor centered, and there's a lot of conversation now about being community centered as opposed to donor centered. I come from old school where we're taught that the donor is the center. But right now, I still believe that if we want donors to give, they want to feel engaged and engrossed in your story. They want to feel like they have a part to play, that they can make a difference. They want to be superheroes. So let's give them that. Let's give them the opportunity to be a superhero. And digital will definitely do that. So
I think digital is vastly misunderstood by, like you said, board members that are doing their day-to-day. Maybe they're a realtor, banker, insurance salesman, or whatever it is they're doing in their day-to-day, and maybe they don't use it for marketing, or they don't see the marketing department or the people that make the sales. Like maybe they're just heads down, and they don't understand the power of the know, like, and trust factor. So with my trainings, anything I do in digital fundraising, I spend a ton of time talking about all the work you have to do before you even make an ask. Or like you just said, Christal, all the work you have to do after you make the ask, making the donor feel like they have done something meaningful and like they're part of a cause and something bigger than themselves. And I think the real power of digital, if I could just express it to boards, is that human connection that you talked about, that breaking down those walls. And trust is at a premium right now. And like transparency, accessibility, being human, being imperfect. Actually my son was picked up. Got off the bus, saw the bus drive away. So I hope that he's in the house. But that kind of stuff, it just happens. So just get on a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live, or do a little video, or do I'm a board member, like you said, hold up a sign that says, I believe in this cause, and this cause is more important now than ever. We really need to fight this problem more than ever. We need your support, or even just a thank you.
Right.
Right.
Well, let me just tell you, I have a personal example, Julia. So
I love that.
it's sad and good news. But last year in 2020, I lost someone very close to me, my partner of 15 years, during COVID. And so it was, a traumatic loss for me and my family. Some friends of mine decided that they wanted to put together a crowdfunding campaign for me. My son is in a small private school for children who have ADHD, and it's expensive. And so some friends of mine decided that they want to do a crowdfunding campaign. And so they wrote up my story. They asked me to look at it, and I did some mild editing. And then they asked me for a fun picture of me, my son, and his dad.
Mhm.
And there's a picture of us with glasses on. My son had surgery a couple of years ago. And so we were in the waiting room and he was nervous, and we all put on these glasses with these big noses, And so
Aw.
it was a great picture of the three of us. So we put that picture on with the story about how we lost, how we lost Eric, and, how it was going to impact me financially. And my son wasn't going to be able to continue to go to the school. And they posted it on Facebook. And in 3 days, they had raised $4,000 from complete strangers, like people who I had no idea who they were just sending notes and saying, God bless this family. We want to help out. My son's name is Malcolm. We want to help Malcolm. We want him to stay in the school. It was something, because it was something that Eric really wanted for him. And we say that in the story, that him being in the school was really important to his dad. And that story emoted, and it made people who didn't even know me, they didn't know Malcolm, they didn't know Eric. It took, I don't know, 30 minutes to write the story, 10 minutes to post it up on the crowdfunding, platform.
Mhm.
And we hit submit and send, and we raised $4,000 in a week. And so my point is you can get board members to grab one of your stories like that,
Yep.
that emotes and that makes people feel and have compassion for what's happening in the lives of your clients, and you have them put that story in a crowdfunding campaign or on Facebook and ask people to donate to it. I am live proof that complete strangers were giving $200 and $300 and $400 don't know me from a can of paint, but they were
Right.
moved by our story,
Yep.
and people responded. And so we can compel our board members, if we equip them with the stories, to do the same thing.
Mhm.
It's not hard. I
Mhm.
promise you. I'm a live testimony on it. So
Yeah.
I believe in digital. I believe in the power of digital to tell our story far and wide to people who we don't know.
Mhm.
People think, oh, I don't have any friends and family who can give a lot of money. Those people who gave to me weren't my family or friends. They were
Yep.
complete strangers who were moved by my story.
Mhm.
And so if we get our board members to do the same exact thing, we can help them to raise money for us.
And we've talked about this, and I continue to just be so moved by that story. I think the generosity of strangers, we completely underestimate it. And we also underestimate the power of the small dollar donor. So we get so focused on major gifts, which I think are very important. And I believe that everything has a piece, everything has a place. Direct mail 100% has a place. If that still works for you, I only work on multi-channel campaigns 99% of the time that incorporate a direct mail piece, maybe a virtual event, maybe emails, maybe social media, because it's all pieces of the puzzle. But we are really shooting ourselves in the foot if we continue to say, oh, well, that $10 donor on Facebook, I'm not going to get their email, so I can't build a lifetime relationship with them.
Right.
So I'm just going to, I always say to people, if I sent you $10 in the mail with no return address, you would cash it, right? Like, I don't
Yes.
really know, like you'd probably cash it. So if I just wrote like donation on a sticky note, send $20 in the mail to you, you would cash it and put it towards your mission. So
Right.
I think we have to really just have a whole mindset shift around a lot of things, but around like the power of like you were saying, the power of the word of mouth. So someone's story, it's so much more impactful to have that personal story than it is to just have your organization and your logo and your brand constantly
Yeah.
putting out Facebook fundraisers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
People
think
really want
that's,
to know that you understand what they're going on in their lives.
yeah.
So organizations who have done a really great job of, like, so I'm on the board of a Y here in Atlanta, and they do a
Yay.
great job of sharing stories and ways for us to stay busy at home now. So they have workout videos, they have how to create a comic book, how to talk to your teens about depression and
Mhm.
isolation, like all the things that they're letting me know, that they know what's going on at home, some things that I might be experiencing at home, and they're providing resources
Yep.
while we're in this COVID situation. And so that makes me appreciate my why, right? even
Yeah.
more. And so am I going to continue to give to them? Absolutely. Right.
Yep.
And so that is the key is finding connection with your donors. And I think we can do that.
And having them miss you if you were gone. That is such a fantastic example. There's several little organizations where I live doing the same thing. Like the Wenham, there's a little museum, the Wenham Museum, and they really struggled. They have 2 staff members. They have a really tiny museum on a good day, but they mostly get their revenue from schools coming, from tour groups, from events, because you can rent out the museum. And of course, all of that completely dried up. So they had to really get creative in some of the programming that they were doing. But they started thinking, I love that idea of the why really unpacking its mission, which is health and wellness for every child. I believe
Yes.
health and wellness maybe for every family.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that's tied in, like talking to your teens about depression, how to do a workout at home, it's all tied together into the mission. So it's not wildly outside the scope of things you would be doing anyway, but we do have to start thinking about the kind of content we put out there and is it of value? And that's going to attract other people, because I've seen things in my social feed and my inbox that people have shared with me, things like, hey, there's a great Facebook Live on screen time for your kids, and it was a nonprofit doing it. I was like, oh yeah, that's something I've been thinking about. So
Yeah. And people are doing that more and more these days. They are
Yep.
sharing content. So they know that we're at home and looking for ways to keep our kids engaged. So yeah.
Okay. Brian says, Christal, I'm so very sorry to hear of your loss. Thank you for sharing. My prayers are with you and your son.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
people
that,
are
Brian.
nice. Well, I would encourage people to send in their questions. My sort of last question, I mean, I'm sure I'll have 10 million more. What is your biggest piece of advice for a development director, or for that sort of one person shop doing the development marketing? What is your one piece of advice for them going to their board to even broach this topic? And
Okay.
what I'm envisioning specifically, because this is what I see, is a younger person approaching like an older, predominantly older board.
Yeah. No, and I've had that question about young folks feeling intimidated talking to older board members. But,
Yeah.
First of all, we just realized that board members are people,
Mhm.
right? And if you're feeling nervous, it's okay to tell your board, I'm feeling really nervous about, speaking with you today. These board members, they have grandchildren your age. Like, you start talking to them about yourself and you realize that they have a lot more in common with you than you believe. But I believe just going to them again and just saying, looky here, we have something really important we can sell today. We have to tell the world about the great work we're doing. And I believe that we can do that together. And I want to help you do that. And let's do that in a way that it's fun and you're finding new friends in doing so, but we're all doing the same thing. We're telling the story about what we're doing, about our great work, about our mission. And we're going to get more and more people engaged. We want to get people to support us financially. And I know that we can do that. I want to provide you the tools to do that. Can I help you do that today? And who would say no? And you can just say, look, everybody's at different points in their comfort level with digital. And so if you don't feel terribly comfortable on Instagram, but you're really great on Facebook, let me help you with Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it might require some individual one-on-one coaching with your board, and that's okay. But realize that just appeal to them as humans and let them know we need you and your voices and your connections matter, and you can help us make this difference. And this digital fundraising is a way to do that.
Oh, I love that. And stand in your truth. And what was it? Shout it from the rooftops? Is that what you said? I'll go back and look. I just got stand in your truth. I'll go back and write it down when I do the transcript, because that was such a powerful, that's really powerful statement. Well, how can people find you and connect with you online, Christal?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is theboardpro.com. I am on Instagram as the Board Pro. I'm on Facebook as the Board Pro. And then you can find me on LinkedIn as Christal M. Cherry. But more importantly, if you want to know more about this topic, please register for our upcoming webinar on Tuesday, the 26th at 2 p.m. It's $35, and Taylor Shanklin, as I mentioned, who is a digital fundraising guru like this lady here.
Oh, I forgot to mention Taylor.
Oh my God,
Amazing.
Taylor
Shout out to
Shankman is
Taylor. We
the
missed her
bomb.
today.
Yes, I am so excited to collaborate with her on this class that we're going to be teaching this week. So please, please, please register. It's going to be good stuff. You're not going to be disappointed. And we'll be taking more questions on Tuesday. But I'm so grateful, Julia, that you invited me today.
Yes, thank you so
This
much.
was
Thanks for sharing your
wonderful.
expertise. And
Absolutely.
I think that, I know that my audience hears so much about the importance of digital fundraising from me. It's so great to share a variety of perspectives. And I do know that dealing with boards and effectively sort of conveying and communicating with a board something you're passionate about is a huge struggle for a lot of
Yes.
people. So thank you for coming on
You're
here.
welcome.
And I will post all the links in the comments. I'm also going to write a blog, kind of a recap, and embed it there. So I'll send all of that
Hey,
to you. But
that's awesome.
thanks everyone for
Thank you
coming
guys.
today.
Thank
We
you,
have we had a
Facebook, for
quiet group
tuning in.
today, but also I think my Google Chrome, my Facebook crashed. So I don't know, but hopefully we're still live. It just crashed on my browser.
Oh,
So I
okay.
can't see if we have any questions, but I think that we're okay.
Okay.
But we'll go back in. If there are questions, we'll manage them.
Okay.
Oh, Cynthia says registered. Thank you.
Yay, Cynthia. Thank you. See you
Yay.
on Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, again.
Okay.
And yeah, we will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.
Blessings. Get that board motivated. Bye.